Yellow. One of the most notorious figures in boxing history was Jack Johnson, and for more than 13 years, Jack Johnson was the most famous African American on earth. This was due to his taste in fine clothes, the women he chose, fast cars, and of course, the financial status he earned, becoming the first African American boxing champion of that time. The people of his era wanted nothing more than to see Jack Johnson fall to one of their own, and over again, he just took advantage of all that negative energy with a smile. This is how he rose to infamy, but when you look at his actual boxing style, he was known to be quite boring. They hated the way he fought, a defensive genius with a style predicated on avoiding all damage completely. He'd tire his opponents out, grinding them with an over-under position, and of course hold and hit, which at the time was not against the rules as the sport of boxing was still relatively new. In his prime, no one could beat Jack Johnson due to his way of clinching, his hold and hit style, and the only reason why stadiums filled up consistently was because of the ego the world had at the time. The promise of an African American's downfall was too euphoric of a thought. Think of it this way. Just as a raging river is dangerous, a turbine against that stream harvests that force of nature. Electricity, all of that attention is now currency. The ego that raged amidst a nation was harvested in that exact same way. All, even though he was a boring fighter. Despite how dominant he was, his fights were boring. Does this sound similar? People would call George St. Pierre throughout his entire career boring despite how dominant he was. Floyd Mayweather, after he transitioned from knockout artist to defensive genius, he was coined boring as well. And now, in our current time, we have Kamaru Usman, who has a knack for grinding his opponents out without taking much damage, if at all. Watch here, we see again that over-under position Jack Johnson would use quite frequently. Jorge Masvidal does not want Kamaru Usman to pummel for a double underhook, because from there, he'd be given a mechanical advantage via body lock for a takedown. The threat is there, it is felt, and Kamaru Usman, armed with that knowledge, he can just keep the dominant position and hit you. He is comfortable holding a superior position against the cage, knowing your style is virtually nullified and you're just grinding out your explosive potential fighting against him. From there, with foot stomps, knees, or breaking into a single collar tie to hold and hit. If Jack Johnson was alive during our era and transitioned to mixed martial arts, we would likely see very similar strategies implemented. You know, even though Jack Johnson was of course also noted for his ability to move. The footage we do have of him though consistently shows that tying up was part of what made him so difficult to deal with. That is part of Kamaru Usman's advantage, a high-level wrestler with tremendous physical advantage, carved out of granite, looking not for one big move to end the fight, but instead holding a dominant position at the threat of securing a more dominant position, which naturally creates the opening where his opponents have less awareness. Even if he misses his strike, it does not matter. It was done in order to close the space. Duck, then pressure with the head, controlling the hand. The first thing he goes for is an underhook. Watch. Instantly, with that mechanical advantage, Jorge Masvidal, he knows that he has to put an anchor on him. Thus the right hand dominant overhooks with that arm. What does Kamaru Usman say? Cool. Foot stomp. Kamaru Usman knows he does not have to transition to a better position from here. If the position already gives him an advantage, he'll take it. Why not? The opponent is too busy fighting the risk of a more dangerous position. Let's just make the most of the moment here. Bruce Lee, when you're talking about fighting, as it is, with no rules, well then, baby, you'd better train every part of your body. With that said, watch here. You even see shoulder strikes from this position. Pinned against the cage, the body is restricted in its explosive abilities. You strike from your legs, your hips, and pivot. Thus, naturally, you aren't given a lot of room to explode. Meanwhile, Kamaru Usman has the mechanical advantage to quickly load into his hips, then jolt force upward. You can see why Kamaru Usman is such a terrifying matchup for anyone. He can secure a strong position with his physical ability and caliber of wrestling, but the moment he has that vantage point, you are the one who has to work. Watch. His opponents are now the ones tiring themselves out, gassing out their explosive potential, trying to fight off the possibility of an even worse position. Meanwhile, Kamaru Usman is just chilling. He's just touching you up, grinding you out with mechanical advantages established by his technical understandings when paired with his tremendous physical advantage. It's as if innately you are rattling in a cage while rattling in a cage. Inception, Kamaru Usman's style, just might be a sequel. To that end, thank you, Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal, for this lesson.